The CSX is an odd and interesting new pistol from Smith & Wesson. I honestly don't know if it's the gun that nobody asked for, or if it's the long-awaited answer to people's prayers. I really have no clue. But here it is, and I bought this one retail because I thought it was interesting enough to tell you about. This fits into the footprint of like the little SIG and the Springfield EMP and the Kimber Micro 9, all of those. But it's not without its own uniqueness, and it is truly a Smith & Wesson.
All right, here she is, the new CSX from Smith & Wesson. Interesting little gun with the emphasis on the word little. This thing is tiny, very tiny. Much smaller than a Shield, I'll show you that. It is definitely an interesting little gun. This will be my very first rounds. This is, of course, a hammer-fired, single action only handgun. All aluminum frame, which is very, very light. The grip texture is fantastic, although even though I'm wearing gloves today because it's extremely cold out, that's something I'll talk about a little bit more. Comes with 3 white dots. They are non-tritium. Very first rounds. Interesting trigger. Very interesting. Shoots nice. It certainly looks accurate. Yeah, I got no complaints about the way it feels and the way it shoots in that first 10 rounds. Trigger is interesting, very, very interesting. I was very tempted to jump into Marvin the Martian voice just then. So this is the 12 round magazine I just put in here, but it still only has 10 rounds because, you know, I never really was very good at that whole remainder thing in arithmetic. The trigger feels light. It has a very, very short stroke. I'm still evaluating. That was only my first 10 rounds, so give me a minute before I say too much more about it because I want to try and give you some accurate feedback. But one thing I will say so far, though, is the reset on the trigger is very strange, very non-tactile, really. Doesn't give you a whole lot of feedback that, you know, hey, I'm reset. It also, there's no, it doesn't feel like there's any kind of a return spring pushing the trigger back forward. It's almost like you let your finger off of it and it just sort of drifts back. But it doesn't feel like there's any momentum behind that trigger to give it a nice positive reset. That's my first 10 rounds opinion. Let's see what the next 10 might bring. I do like that. I don't shoot with gloves much, so I may be doing something weird, but thought I was pulling the trigger. Nothing was happening. Okay. For whatever reason, it just needed a whole lot more than I was giving it. I may not have been engaging the trigger safety properly. I think I might have had my finger way up too high on the trigger or something. Again, I don't shoot with gloves much, so that kind of messes me up. Okay, so the first 20 rounds, I think they all at least got a little piece of the orange, and most of them found their way into the middle part of the orange, and that means good. So I'm okay with that. This is a interesting little gun. It's a nice little shooter. It feels great, points great, light as a feather, good sight picture. As you can see, it produces nice results. I'm still not ready to talk too much more about the trigger. I gotta get a little more reps under my finger, and maybe I'll have to man up a little bit and go bare-fingered to really be able to tell you accurately what it feels like.
Here's a rundown on the main elements of the gun with my commentary on what I like or don't like or haven't decided yet. The frame is an aluminum alloy, which keeps the gun about as light as a good glass-filled polymer frame, but it adds tons of rigidity. And honestly, it adds a class look with its matte finish. It's a single-action, hammer-fired gun, but it is both like and unlike the 1911 in its internal design. The trigger is not a bow trigger, it pivots. It also contains a trigger safety blade. The take-up and break are clean, and I like it. But the reset leaves a lot to be desired for me. In any sort of faster shooting, I would have no choice but to slap at the trigger, because you can't feel any reset, even with slow fire. It's mostly ambidextrous, except for the magazine release, which can be reversed for the left-handed shooter via the supplied lefty button. Thumb safety and slide stop release are ambidextrous.
Okay, I promised that I might man up and take off the gloves, and I have done that. It's just more personal sacrifice that I'm willing to suffer for you. So, in my cold hands, my cold live hands, luckily, I have the new CSX from Smith & Wesson, and it is a tiny, tiny little gun. I've also taken the 12-round magazine and put 12 rounds in it, just like the number says. That 12th round went in a little snugly, but it went in just fine. And 12 rounds in a tiny little package like this is pretty nice. So, barehanded now, my hands aren't too terribly cold, so that cold shouldn't affect the way I'm feeling things, because that can play a part. I'm going to try and give you feedback as I shoot these 12 rounds on the trigger, number one, And number two, just the overall feel of the texture of the gun, how it feels in the hand. Because gloves really do sort of, you know, dull all that down. This is, of course, again, a single action gun, hammer fired, and so it does have a manual safety. That is an ambidextrous safety, and it is right there where you'd expect it to be. All right, here we go. Again, it's a pretty plain sight picture, but it's a very good sight picture. The trigger feels very nice when it breaks. I don't notice the trigger safety in it at all. But the reset is very weird. It's like it's like there's no positive movement in the reset. In fact, I think just now it wasn't reset. So, yeah, I have a difficult time with the reset. But otherwise, it feels great. Texture in the gun feels good, feels very good. It could use it in a few more spots. There's some smooth areas. But where they've got texture, it is extremely good. Basically just like that M&P texture. And the recoil is not bad at all for such a little gun. I mean, it's got a little snap to it, but certainly very controllable. It is definitely a little shooter, there's no doubt about it. It's just got that weird trigger reset. And it's not I don't mean to harp on it like it's a real big negative, because it would not prevent me from recommending the gun, not at all. It wouldn't prevent me from buying it again. I did buy this, by the way. This is a purchase. This was not a loaner, it wasn't a gift, none of that. So I went out and slapped my money down on the counter and brought this one home. I would do it again as things stand right now. It's a good little shooter. Trigger feels nice on the pull and the brake. It just, that reset, I would like it to be better. But again, it's not a game changer. It's not a, oh no, I wish I hadn't bought this gun because the reset is bad. But I am here to tell you all the details. It's what you're paying the big money for when you tune into the channel and put your quarters into the machine or whatever it is you do. I'm shooting it with the back strap palm swell that came on it. There is a replacement that you can swap it out for with a larger one. We'll take a look at that in more detail from the workbench or wherever, but I'm just shooting it the way it came out of the box, and it feels very comfortable to me in that configuration. The front is, I think, I'm going to verify, but I'm pretty sure this is an aluminum frame, so it's very light and very nice. There's a lot of smooth area here, though. Up in here could use something, but that texture on the front strap is really nice, and I think that it's part of the aluminum. I'm going to look more closely and see if that's the case. But that's pretty neat if it is. Oh, and it does have, I didn't mention yet, it has the little ears at the back of the slide, right behind the slide serrations. It's got those little ears, little tabs that stick out. They don't stick out as much on this as they do on like the EZ models, but they are there to help you get a little traction and pull that slide back. So for folks that are slide racking challenged, that definitely is there to help.
The slide stop, slide release is sweet. I like it a lot. It's a well-placed and easy to reach control. It's also long enough to give you great leverage. Releasing the slide to chamber around is a cinch. In the frame are polymer grip inserts that are very M&P-like. The rear insert can be swapped between the two that are provided, changing the size and feel a bit. The front strap insert is very effective, and it was a good way for Smith to keep the manufacturing costs down, as opposed to chuckering the aluminum. Since this is a brand new model, it's worth having a look at the specs. Here they are, along with some images that will hopefully give you a good look at the gun too. After one range trip and some pretty thorough evaluation, I like this gun. It's a nice little shooter, and it was easy to put my rounds on target, downrange with it. Fit and finish are generally good, although this one does have some poorly finished areas that got past quality control. Not a big deal, but I did expect a little better. It's certainly worth a look as a personal protection handgun if single action is your thing. We'll probably look at this one again. I'm thinking maybe doing a comparison between the CSX and the Shield Plus. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. If this video was helpful or entertaining, I'd appreciate it if you would hit the like button. And why not make a commitment? Subscribe too while you're at it. Thanks again. See you soon.